Good morning, class 9A. This is Miss Seshu. So, let us see each blood vessel structure. Here you can see the picture for artery, and here capillaries, and here the vein. First, we are looking for the artery. Here you can see a thick outer wall, and then small lumen, and here thick layer of muscles and elastic fibers. So, by looking the structure of the artery, we can say that this is the blood vessel taking away the blood from the heart. How it is taking? When blood flows out of the heart, it enters the arteries. The blood is then at very high pressure because it has been forced out of the heart by the contraction of muscular ventricles. Here you can see the lumen of the artery is smaller than the lumen of the vein, comparing to each other here. Okay, so here also you can see thin layer of muscle and elastic fibers, same like in artery, but the difference is lumen is larger in the vein, and here the lumen is smaller in the artery. And very thin outer wall, this will be thin outer wall for the vein, and here you can see for the artery thick outer wall is having. Okay, and for comparing in these two, because to flow of blood it is having the smaller lumen, because the blood flows from the heart is pushing in the high pressure by the heart, because when the blood is pumping the when the heart is pumping the blood, that time muscular ventricles, the contraction of the muscular ventricles, blood pushed into the arteries in a high pressure, so no need of more space here to flow. So that is why the arteries are having small lumen when compared to the vein. Okay, so here when the capillaries, the structure of the capillaries, you can see here very small lumen and wall made of a single layer of cell. Why this is very small? Because already the artery is bringing the blood and sending it into the arteriole, that is small vessel than the artery. That small vessel arteriole sending it into the capillaries, and these capillaries no need much space because these are the vessels which are sending the blood to each cell in our body. It is a network. So this does not need more space here. Okay, so when it is sending to the all cells of the body, from each cell it is sending it needs only a cell thick, one cell thick in the wall of wall made of a single layer of cell. Okay, that means it is only single layer of cell it is needed. So when it is exchanging the gases and it is bringing the oxygenated blood and taking away the deoxygenated blood and transfers it into the venule and finally into the vein. This vein is taking the deoxygenated blood to the heart. Okay, so just see each one. Structure of artery. This one, thick outer layer of collagen fibers, and this is thick inner layer of muscle and elastin, and this is the endothelium. This is the narrow central lumen. That's what I said here, narrow central lumen, because it doesn't need valves to push and bring the blood towards, because already it is the blood is coming in a high pressure movement, so the blood will be flowing very easily to the capillaries. And here you can see the structure of the vein. Thin outer layer, this is thin inner layer of muscle and elastin, and then endothelium and a wide central lumen. Why we need here in the veins wide central lumen? When the capillaries are transferring the blood into the venule, from there it is taking from the venule. So the vein needs more pressure. That means it is the blood is already get slower and slower in the movement. So the blood flows more slowly and smoothly now. There is no need for veins to have such thick, strong elastic walls as in arteries. If the veins were narrow, this would slow down the blood even more. To help keep the blood moving easily through them, the space inside the veins, called the lumen, is much wider than the lumen of the arteries. So here you can see the structure of capillary. As I told you, this is here it is having a lumen, and this is the endothelium. Lumen is small, only big enough to let one red blood cell through at a time. Okay, so the function of the capillaries is to take nutrients, oxygen, and other materials to all the cells in the body, and to take away their waste materials. To do this, their walls must be very thin so that substances can get in and out of them easily. The walls of the smallest capillaries are only 1 cell thick. And then here you can see the differences between the lumen of the artery and the vein. As I'm saying, artery doesn't need more lumen as the muscular ventricles contractions to give the blood in a high pressure. It is only having small lumen when compared to the vein. Here the vein lumen is very wide because the blood is already moving more slowly and smoothly. So just move on to the valves in a vein. Here valves are open, that's why the blood is moving slowly and smoothly here. And here the valves are closed. So the blood which is entering into the vein, that is stuck here, it cannot move freely through the valves because the valves are already closed. Veins have valves in them to stop the blood flowing backward. Look, valves are not needed in the arteries because the force of the heartbeat keeps blood moving forwards through them. Blood is also kept moving in the veins like this. The blood is moving in the veins by the contractions of muscles around them. The large veins in your leg are squeezed by your leg muscles when you walk. When we are walking, these muscles are moving, and for that movement, these large vessels in your legs are squeezed. This helps to push the blood back to your heart. If a person is confined to bed, in these veins will not be kept moving. Okay, so for example, we are not having any exercise, and if the person is in if the patient having some problem, that patient is having been in the bed for long time, means that the person cannot walk freely. The muscles all will be stuck together, and then the veins also, without the movement they cannot move the blood freely in them. So a clot may form in them called a thrombosis. If there is no exercise in the legs, that means no walking, no going anywhere, means in your legs the veins will be having stuck. That is called the clots you will see. That clots are called thrombosis. If a clot is carried to the lung, it could get stuck in the arterioles. Same as usual, from the capillaries, the venule is taking the blood and giving it to the vein. From this vein, if there is no movement in the vein, if the valves are closed, that the blood cannot move freely. When the blood is not moving freely, automatically the clots will be formed. When these clots are moving into the lungs, that will be very danger for that person. This is called a pulmonary embolism, and it may prevent the circulation reaching part of the lungs. In serious cases, this can cause death also. In this manner, the functioning of the veins are taking place in our body. So, naming blood vessels. So, each and every organ is having a particular blood vessel taking the blood from the heart and again returning to the heart. So, just have a look in this picture to know the names of that arteries. Here, this is the vena cava from the from the head. So this is the head part, and here lungs, this is the heart, and here liver, okay, and here intestine, and here kidneys, and here lower part, that means legs. So just see, from the heart, the oxygenated blood is going to the head by the carotid artery, and from here the deoxygenated blood bringing by the vena cava from the head to the heart again. And for the lungs, we see pulmonary vein is taking the deoxygenated blood and bringing the oxygenated blood. Okay, and again the aorta, which is the main artery in our body, is bringing the blood to the liver by the vessel called hepatic artery, and then hepatic vein will be returning it to the heart. And the next one, for the intestine, mesenteric artery is bringing the blood and returning by the hepatic portal vein. And here the renal artery is bringing the oxygenated blood to the kidneys, and deoxygenated blood is carried to the heart by the renal vein. And similarly for the iliac artery for the lower body parts, and iliac vein returning to the heart again. So this is the structure we have in our body by all the blood vessels. So by this I hope you understand the blood vessels in our body and the functions of the blood vessels. Okay, so thank you for today. See you in the next video.